something that gets particularly owned by an Akali. So we'll see what it is that AL are maybe looking to set up for themselves. I think that that's thrown a little bit of a spanner into the top esports works. They get rid of the Orianna early doors instead, so those control mages getting a little bit more focused. We've got a few more junglers now open for our picks, where we've got the Trundle still open. That was banned in game number 1. Maybe looking to see if that gets early sniped away by anyone's legend.
Poppy is also available. Talia is open. Aurora, that was hovered the last game, but they went with the Rise, and Shanks or Flandre, depending on what is sent to the top side. Normally we see the Aurora top as an answer to the Rumble, which is banned, but still could be flexed around if ALC fit. Top Esports, though, go for the Pantheon. This jungler, for a majority of 2025, Roodood has dominated and been completely warping the game. But in recent weeks, the Pantheon priority has somewhat dropped off globally and hasn't seen nearly as much success. Here in LPL, it's still a mostly winning record. We'll see if Kanavi can continue that streak.
Yeah, and importantly as well, putting some early stake into Kanavi. I think something that we didn't necessarily have. Both of our junglers from game number 1 a little bit more level 6 focus with the Neferi and the Wukong this time round, though. Kanavi gets his hands on a ganking tool from level 3. This is a opportunity now for Kanavi to put his stamp on this series. After game number 1 was all about those solo laners, we should hopefully see a great performance from the king of the jungle himself. Now, with the solo laners slightly mismatched here across the board, we've got a potential flex pick for anyone's legend in that Aurora, and then jungle and bot lane picked up for top esports. What counters to the Leona do top esports need to ban away? Things like the Braum already taken off the board, maybe the Renata goes in, or maybe you're just going to be happy to trade the Rel, the Nautilus as Kael in this game. Again, a pick that he's had such a good powerful performance on. But I wouldn't be surprised if anyone's legend want to put Kael on this Poppy. Again, I remember Kael Poppy from the Game 5 of their MSI series that sent them home. Yeah. But it's a pick that he's played before. It's a good matchup into the Leona. And if it means that they've just eaten 2 free second phase bans, it's something to consider.
Roodood, both you and I were watching that series thinking, okay, anyone's legend, they got this. It's Kael's Poppy. We can trust him to bring it home. It was such a surprising, very disappointing way for that series to end, because we had seen the clips where Kael's Poppy was forcing other supports to think about, hey, you should take this away from your jungler. You should pick it for yourself because it is that damn good. Top Esports, though, have eliminated 2 support options just in case. The Victor locked in for Creme, since they cannot get the Pantheon Talia combo locked in since it was banned away. And anyone's legend contemplating what is their response for their last 2 picks.
I was thinking an Ambessa might get sort of taken here for Flandre on that top side, but maybe they're just going to look to take the Aurora blind if this Galio gets locked in, or do some really fancy flexing, because the Galio, again, another pick that's very good into the Leona, can go support if it wants to. Curious as to what we get to see from anyone's legend here. This is still very much up for negotiation. Could be a jungler getting locked in, could be a top laner getting locked in. I think that this probably resigns the Poppy into that jungle role, but top esports need to figure out what it is that they want to round out their composition with. And yeah, I think that this hover does make a lot of sense. It means that there are a lot of moving parts around the map, so gets locked in. We can talk about it now. You're going to have the Trundle taken into the jungle, Poppy most likely to flex down to the support role, and then the Galio mid, the Aurora top lane, blind for Flandre.
And check this out, Roodood. You can still flex some of these options after top esports lock in their top laner of choice, because there could be some matchups where you think, oh, you know what? Trundle would actually work better here top lane. We'll send the Galio support. We'll put the Poppy jungle. Oh, you know what? We actually like the Aurora top lane here. Let's put the Galio mid, Poppy support, Trundle jungle. They have so much flexibility. And with the York being locked in for 369, I don't hate what anyone's legend have decided on. Using the Aurora, having the guaranteed mage range advantage so that you can avoid going in for those brutal sustained trades against the Yorick. And now you have Kael on his Poppy, you have Shanks on the Galio. My only concern is, Roodood, when I'm looking at anyone's legend's composition, is you don't have real engage on this team. Someone's got to go in to set up the hero's entrance, and that's it.
Do they? I will counter you with a do they, though, because I look at Top Esports' composition. We've talked a lot about Anyone's Legends because it's a little bit choppy and changey. Top Esports, they have Leona, they have the Pantheon. They're going to look to engage themselves, and that might just be the ticket for Anyone's Legend to just absorb the engage. Now, I will double down with you, and I will go actually... Finding access to Creme and finding access to JackeyLove isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world this time round, because the Victor and the Corki not dive champions innately. If they find themselves in that front line, they've done something very wrong, and I think for Anyone's Legend to get access to them, that's then going to be a little bit more difficult. But I think that to start off these fights, we are relying very heavily on Top Esports to find those engages, and it's for Anyone's Legend their ability to absorb it. Maybe just using Sivir ulti and a Trundle Pillar.
Receiving those engages, then countering, resetting the pace of the fight. Maybe that is the key for Anyone's Legend, as they were losing a lot of those team fights and scraps in Game 1. But here we are, hitting the Summoner's Rift for Game 2 between Anyone's Legend and Top Esports.
You're like, I can see them saying Jayo, I just cannot hear them. I literally put my ear closer to my own microphone in an attempt to make it work, even though I know that's not how sound systems work. But
no, I fear it's the other way around. But you know, I can appreciate you giving the extra effort just to see if people are actually cheering, which we can tell that visually they are. But so
we're getting owned on the back of this.
Let's do this.
Go on.
For Game 3, when we get to Gyos, if we don't hear that much, we just got to supplant it with our own Gyos.
Yeah.
We got to help out the crowd.
And I'll try and make it sound like it's an echo as well. I'll run to the other side of my room and I'll just scream Jayo from there, you know? Like, I'll go the whole way. Don't you worry. I'll get the immersive experience for the crowd at home.
Amazing. I don't see anything too exciting in the rune setup. Oh, wait a minute. 369 with the Comet start. Probably just because you are into a ranged matchup, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to do any damage.
Yeah, and I want to look at how these compositions are going to look to function as well. I'm once again at odds with the AI bot, to be honest with you, where it said that in the early game, Anyone's Legend going to be favoured. As we get later into this game, Top Esports, the ones that are supposed to sort of take their reins. I don't think that Top Esports have got bad scaling by any means, but I don't think that it, you know, diminishes what AL have to scale with either. This Sivir has got a really good mix of abilities and targets to focus, right? 3 melees for the ricochets to go between, and expectation is that that can pass and go through to that backline as well. Would like to see that AL get to this late game. They can use Hope to do that. The tools for Top Esports as we get into the late game, though, very much geared around Creme and the way that this Victor can stay safe. What targets and what possibility do AL have to get on top of this Victor? Well, it's a Justice Punch in, it's a Pillar here, and maybe Kael, you know, with these Poppy engages can make something happen. But Kanavi early in the top lane.
He skipped a camp just to make this gank happen. He skipped the whole top bot side, and Kanavi comes up huge for Top Esports, and it's first blood.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to go back to base now, got that first blood gold, which probably just offsets the 300 gold that he would have got from the camp, so he's going to get the same recall anyway. But then that second base is actually going to look very, very good for him, as you know, denying the Aurora that crash in the top lane. Really solid performance and really solid early game from Kanavi. Again, we talked about it. He is the guy who you want to see make these early game plays, and with the Pantheon, he has that agency. On the Wukong in game number 1, not necessarily those same tools. Good to see that he's making the most of it this time round.
You can see that Tarzan was trying to find some pings onto the top side of the map if there is an angle for 369, but he still has his flash, so it's not going to be the most guaranteed plays set up there. And that ward on the Raptor camp, Roodood, they knew that Kanavi was there. They just didn't expect him to skip his entire bot quadrant.
Yeah, now looking at live on that top side, it looks like they're trying to find a trade back onto 369, but he's able to get out without even burning his flash there. So a really good absorption once again by the top laner of Top Esports. Being put under pressure, but being able to withstand it. And now looking at this mid lane, I mean, Shanks is hovering very nicely toward this top side, so he might be fine.
Flash from Kanavi, maybe. Shanks gets enough speed, but Kanavi goes for the Empowered E, and Shanks immediately recognizes, I need to flash this wall or I am dead to rights. And Top Esports It's not another kill, but it's another impact made by Kanavi's Pantheon in the first 5 minutes.
Now, Galio with no flash, not the biggest deal in terms of trying to keep safe. Still has Justice Punches, still a Galio, and once you've reached, you know, maybe 1-2 bases, you've got enough statistics usually to be able to withstand a gank, especially of a Victor in the early game, frequently touted as one of the most useless mid laners through the early stages of the match, but that's at a trade-off for his ability to absolutely mince you in the late game. Now, Top Esports, again, like you say, found a really good start to this. Need to see them continue to do that, really. This Pantheon, again, a champion that, as we move later and later into the game, is going to find it harder and harder to gain access. The reason we love this AL composition is because of the Poppy, because of the Galio, and their ability to thwart engages.
And that ability to disengage and reset the fight sometimes might not be capitalized from other team perspectives, but when you are playing with some of the best players in this league, be able to make the most out of it, that is what can be the difference maker there. And if it still doesn't make sense to you, well, we recommend going over to prodiff.gg and use the code LPL10 to try and schedule a one-on-one with a former or current pro from the LTA, ERLs, or the NACL. They'll do a better job of explaining it probably than I can, as now Tarzan is trying to make a pro diff of his own. He wasn't able to get anything burned from 369 in the first view, and the rest of Top Esports responding to make sure that 369's York doesn't fall behind.
Yeah, and fortunately this time around, Anyone's Legend not going to bite the dust in the same way that they did in game number 1. They recognize actually this is a reach a step too far, and it means that for the time being, 369 able to sustain a little bit more, but even despite that first blood, look at the gold disparity, look at the difference in this top lane matchup. Flandre was able to hold a freeze for a fair while on that top side, deny a lot of gold and a fair bit of experience from 369 as well, who now finds himself, you know, with his CS pretty much being doubled. As I mean, we've seen this exact standoff between AL and Top Esports. This was split number 1, I remember, Crisp and Kael just walking side by side with one another, but this time round, looking at once again, seeing if they can punish this Yorick on the top side. He goes back to base. He's going to walk out towards bot side because JackeyLove's up here to try and catch this wave. But if he can get into the wave itself is the question.
Slam into the wall. Oh, it doesn't quite hit the slam onto the wall. JackeyLove still has both barrier and flash. Flandre throws down the ultimate. Not that much damage. And this is looking like game 1 all over again, where the overplay on the dive doesn't really get anything for Anyone's Legend.
I'd say that the difference here is that it's a misplay on the dive. JackeyLove should have at the very least been forced to burn a flash, should have had to have something happen to his summoner spells there, but instead he just Valkyries, walks out to safety. It's a late steadfast presence from Kael. Yes, he gets hit by it, but really you should be looking to hit that the second that the Corki Valks. He got sort of two-thirds of the way out before that W ends up getting used, and you can see he's, you know, taken 20-30% of his HP, hasn't been forced to go back to base, lost maybe a wave or so under the turret, but is absolutely fine and is working his way to now be able to pick up these little bits of gold on the top side without any real recompense.
Just showing the fact that Top Esports have been able to give JackeyLove so much breathing room in these first 2 games, and Anyone's Legend has not really put that much pressure onto him. Continues to play into Top Esports' overall win condition. We said before, hang on, his TP's coming in, but JackeyLove should be able to escort Hong out, so I was a little concerned there, but then I saw JackeyLove there. Hope popping the ultimate for extra movement speed.
Kanavi 6, and he's close by. They need to be careful.
I think he's setting up the Grand Starfall. It looks like he was in range, but doesn't pull the trigger quite yet. They're looking for the wraparound. Shanks was walking, ready to see if he could anticipate the collapse onto the top side, but no flash on the Galio, and the pillar actually leads to his demise. He's not able to get out, and now Kael and Hope are led into their doom, forced to flash away. Here comes the Grand Starfall, and it's King Kanavi spreading his wings and his dominance on the Rift here in Game 2.
That's the grubs for Top Esports as well. 3 kills in the first 9 minutes of this game. It's another early game dominion from Top Esports. This time round, it's coming off the back of Kanavi, 3-0 on this Pantheon. Yes, he's down a level on Tarzan, who's now walking in to try and steal away one of them, unsuccessfully so. He's 1v3 walking in here, but he's got his teammates
Shanks
walking.
Yeah, Hero's entrance will come over the top. Kanavi flashes away from the knock-up itself, gets out of the taunt range, and Kanavi's able to create enough distance. Tarzan Wants to see if he commits over the flash. Oh, yeah, both of them are flashing over. Kanavi now realizes he's got nowhere else to go, and the Pandas are at least able to get one kill back into their pockets.
And they needed that desperately. You could see it on their sort of ambition through this that they were looking to look at finding some fights.
Whoa, party foul! Hey!
The OPGG review has unfortunately owned you. We'll take a look at this replay to move on from the fact that your Pantheon ratio is absolutely stinky. But Tarzan here, I mean, he kind of leaves his mid laner out, but he doesn't have anything else other than a pillar to throw up there. And then this Grand Starfall, you can see he's expecting double flashes, and then really good actually from AL that they path down to the bot side and don't think and recognize that tier 1 turret is not a safe haven like they might have first thought. But looking at this now, Dragon Live has been for the last 5 minutes. I was expecting this to be a bit of a trade. Instead, Top Esports, they found the first 3 grubs, and it looks like they're going to be able to secure this first dragon as well.
Creme might be in a pickle here. He still has flash, but he's on the wrong side of the wall. Throws out the Arcane Storm, gets slammed into the wall by Kael. He finally flashes. Kanavi now is in the front line alongside Hong, and Kael is getting brought down below 200 HP. Tarzan, critically low, cannot participate in the fight any longer. Shanks arrives to the party, but the rest of Top Esports have regained control, and now Shanks might be in a world of trouble here. He doesn't have flash from the fight before on the top side. The Justice Punch gets interrupted by Kanavi stun.
Oh, snipe!
And he gets a twofer with a nice Comet Spear on the top. That's a 2-for-0 special in Top Esports' pockets.
It's a 5 versus 4, Raafaa, and Top Esports are making the most of it. They were down a member. 369 has spent this entire time wailing away on the top side, and once again, it's a game where he's put in the dirt early. He's playing this notoriously awful matchup of Aurora, playing a melee versus Aurora. He was down 25 CS. He was down a boatload of gold. Flandre, though, he comes down to the bot side to try and make this play onto Creme, to try and make this play onto Top Esports. Sacrifices all of his lead in that top side. And what do they get for it? They get absolutely nothing.
It is just crazy to see that anyone's legend, for the second game in a row, are over-investing their players to guarantee a numbers advantage, and they still can't win the damn fights here, Roodood.
Exactly, and look at this from Kanavi. You know, Kael, you're thinking, how on earth does he go down? But he walks forward. Just a little poke there from a Comet Spear. Takes down the Poppy. Maybe getting a little bit too overzealous, a little bit too comfortable with his HP. Really good snipe, and now it's all about Top Esports and their ability to funnel more gold into Creme. I mean, they've got a lot of gold currently on JackeyLove. He's in a pretty good spot. Kanavi's done a very good job through this early game as well of making sure that he has got 100% kill participation, being where he needs to be. But for Creme, you know, 4 stacks extra, so he's got, what, an extra 80 Victor bucks there. He's worked his way through 2 upgrades already. Now he's the focus down on the bot side with no flash, but he's got an army of players walking to try and help him out. Throws down the Chaos Storm, and he's out of safety. He's out to safety.
Yeah, the fact that Tarzan can't even threaten a flashless Victor with the pillar setup, that is not a good sign. And between that and the fact that I've been exposed on my Pantheon ranked win-loss ratio, I was so distraught. I went back and looked it up, and I was like, that cannot be right. That is unfortunately correct. And when I'm looking at anyone's legend, I think they're in the same mind state that I am right now. Utter disbelief.
For anyone's legend, I mean, the game, it doesn't necessarily get much harder, or much easier, I should say, sorry, as the game gets later. They're relying very heavily on Hope, a little bit on Flandre for his ability to maybe try and one-shot Jackie, and maybe take Creme quite low as well. He's gone for this Blackfire Torch build instead of the, you know, Rod of Ages, the more sustain-oriented Victor. But Tarzan's walked into a Kanavi.
Solar Flare from the whole CC chain. Shanks, with the hero's entrance, might stall the fight out here, but Creme comes back, doesn't even need the Arcane Storm. Everyone from Top Esports is just that much further ahead. Good keeper's verdict from Kael, and Kanavi lives until the very end, but bought so much time, and now the rest of the Pandas are just trying to flee their own jungle, but Kael doesn't get far. Shanks might be the next one. Feasted up by Top Esports, and they're serving up this Stone Sentinel for dinner.
Double kill for Creme, and this Victor is already so much further ahead of the curve than he should be, that this game is going to get infinitely harder for anyone's legend as it goes later and later. It is all on their AD carry once again, and it feels reminiscent almost of AL Series versus JDG, where we were looking around the map and just despairing for pays. This time round, it's almost the same for Hope, because he's 0-0-1, able to get out to safety. He got a little bit of a pickup of gold from that cool cash-in. He's out CSing Jackie, but the rest of his team kind of fumbling and crumbling around him. Creme even able to take this tier 1 turret down on the bot side. No contest off the back of that fight. It's all looking good for top esports, and you know, Creme at this stage in the game, we talked about in the early stages of this matchup, in this draft, that getting access to Creme was going to be tricky for anyone's legend, and the fact that he's ahead of the curve as well just means that it's an even bigger problem that they can't find him.
And low-key, I thought he was going to go for like a Rod of Ages build, knowing that he was going to be a prime target and just make it much harder for anyone's legend to try and break down. He went for Deathfire Torch first, or Blackfire Torch, I should say. So not only he's pumping out much more damage on this first spike, now he's going to go a little bit of a healthier route, more durability with this Haunting guys, probably building into a Leandries. But top esports already have an accelerated mid laner, a Victor that is about to cash out on all these upgrades very early. Anyone's legend are forced to play for this Rift Herald because once again, Root, it's like game 1 all over again. Top esports have this massive gold advantage that the Pandas clearly weren't expecting, and they are on the back foot, and their composition doesn't necessarily get better the later the game goes, albeit for this Sivir late game win condition.
And that's really what they're going to have to hem on to. On the hunt, burned.
Kael, maybe he just got blown up. JackeyLove and Han getting it done into a 2v4, by the way, and the rest of top esports focused on Shanks, who teleported into the backline, but he's about to get eviscerated and blown to smithereens. Creme and 369 make short work of him, and top esports are running away for a second game in a row.
Yeah, and this is the second series where Shanks has had a big flash and a big fail. That time round, the same thing once again. He teleports into the play down in this up on this top side. His taunt hits nobody, his flash gets him out of a gravity well, but he's not really able to make that impact in that team fight, and maybe a double taunt there changes the way that this thing goes, but Jackie's still happy, still has flash, and Creme now, again, has flash as well.
Oh, I wish I could say that Tarzan was able to win that, but even without Arcane Storm,
oh dear,
Creme is just... Oh no. Kael has to suffer for the sins of Tarzan, looking for an opportunistic pick onto Creme's Victor, but even without the Arcane Storm, this Victor is way too damn fed. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal, about to pick up empowered tier 2 boots.
Okay.
We're just glazing my collar caster for no reason. Okay, that's whatever.
What I know is he had to work really hard to find an AD carry that had a positive win ratio, so I appreciate that a lot. Look at this flash from Shanks. Where is brother going? It's actually a really good Chaos Storm. I didn't catch that live, but the Chaos Storm, it interrupts channels. So his taunt, he was looking to hold on to it, but the Chaos Storm stops the taunt channel, and it means that actually as he walks back in, he's really killing himself because he doesn't have the long range taunt. It's not being built up due to that call from Creme.
Rude, just think about from a top esports fan perspective that one of your biggest concerns going into this series was, are my solo laners going to lock in? Is Shanks going to gap Creme this series? Well, so far, it's been Creme gapping Shanks, and that is a great sign to see because for this player, he was the biggest question mark for a lot of the consistencies that top esports would sometimes stumble from, as Creme still has flash. He's able to bully them away with the power of his ultimate, and the rest of anyone's legend, what they were looking for, has been quickly dashed away, and top esports regain control of the topside river. Yeah,
Creme just sort of looked at Tarzan and went, "Who do you think you are? Like, you don't have damage, brother. What are you doing?" And it makes it pretty disgusting that he just walks forward, ultimately very quickly loses 50% of his HP. He didn't burn Subjugate, which is pretty big, but you can see this Rift Herald, what is happening? Are we walking in here, AL?
Keeper's Verdict? punts away one. That is Creme being sent away, but the rest of top esports are just as strong, and Tarzan in the middle of 3 gets vaporized, and the rest of Anyone's Legend are just getting scrapped up by top esports one after another. The Shanks Heroes entrance stalls the fight a little bit, but the result is going to be the same as Flandre finds himself on the wrong side of the tracks. Decent damage though with the Aurora, flashes away for the rocket, but it's 369 with the shovel bonk and sends Flandre back to the fountain. At least Hope is able to trade 1 kill back, but it's 4 versus 14 and a 5,000 gold deficit that the Pandas have to somehow climb back from.
Yeah, I think that Hope gets Infinity Edge off of that fight, which is maybe a saving grace here, but watching that replay, a lot of things again are just really tricky to look at. We've got AL, Flandre hops in here. Good keeper's verdict, you get away that priority target, it means you should be able to walk forward. But JackeyLove kites up towards the Victor. Tarzan flashes into his face as well. And on the backside of this fight, in the 3 versus 2, it's a trade of supports. That should never be the case. Hero's entrance actually does a good job at double knocking up Creme and Kanavi, keeping Hope alive. And then Flandre, accidentally I think, goes back in here, gets a good bit of damage onto Creme. But then watch this taunt from Shanks, he's holding it. Call it back, save your top laner!
Just snap the taunt, please. I promise the range is right there, brother. And for top esports, they are benefiting from every single misplay that Anyone's Legend is making in this series so far. And if we were to base it just off of split 2 performance, this would be a heavy mischaracteristic from Anyone's Legend. We would be totally surprised, but unfortunately, Rude, this is looking a lot like what was happening to the Pandas during the regular season just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and you know, toward the back end of the regular season, I got really hyped about AL, sort of thinking, okay, they're a team that are back to that MSI level, to the team that can really start to challenge with the best of the LCK. Tarzan now once again trying to find Creme, who still has Flash.
Ooh.
Finally forced to expend it. But with On the Hunt burned as well, any fight around this Atacon is now going to be infinitely harder, because trying to get in, trying to get access to Creme, again, going to be that much more difficult. Still got this bot lane tier 1 turret to try and wrestle behind as well, and that's not the case for Anyone's Legend. You can look at their bot side, their tier 1 turret completely gone. Fortunately, both members in the top lane at the minute have got teleport. 369 pillaging the jungle as well, as we can see him taking the Gromp on the minimap. But again, this game, if it gets stalled out, for top esports, they're quite happy. Look at who's got all of the gold. It's Creme, it's Kanavi, it's the late game carry for top esports in that mid lane, who's got the ability to take this game long.
There's a death brush being set up by the Pandas, but they're not going to get that much mileage out of it, and now the top esports members are slowly collapsing. Keeper's verdict punts away 1. Hong and Kanavi still on the front lines. Hong gets bursted out. Kanavi slammed into the wall. 369 can't really do anything to bail him out, and top esports for the first time this series, it's a big fumble from them. Anyone's Legend, they have a chance to try and turn the game around, but now it's all eyes on this Otacon, which is barely below a quarter of its HP. There's still plenty of the health bar that they have to work through, but Tarzan is going to try to do his best to chomp through it.
Creme and Jackie can still go nuclear here. I'm expecting them to try. 5k HP, they're getting whittled away by the Atacon. Look at Jackie on the side.
JackeyLove
bounce forward.
Oh my god, he was an assassin, making sure that Kael doesn't live to see the light of day. Flandre could be next here, but a quick flash from Tarzan. Actually, it's not even a flash, just a quick chomp. And his team is saved from certain death. Flandre not having to drop another one on his kill record. And Anyone's Legend able to sneak away with the Otacon, but now top esports have an opportunity to take this dragon.
Okay, the Drake for an Atacon is a trade that Anyone's Legend should be happy to take here. Those Blood Roses is actually going to be very, very important. But this is actually a really awfully played fight by top esports, and Anyone's Legend actually able to capitalize on it. Really good punt away. JackeyLove not a part of this fight at all, as he gets sent to the Netherrealm with that Keeper's Verdict. Hong is in 1 versus 4. Then Kanavi goes in 2 versus 5. 369 gets hit by this taunt as well, and he's not able to do anything. Tarzan does a great job at buying time by zoning away Creme. He takes the Subjugate, is tanky enough, and now we're fighting again.
Okay, top esports, where are your damage dealers? Creme is still trying to walk on over. Kanavi taking a lot of damage. Thankfully, the stair stage is there, and it's popped. It gives him a little bit of a second win in the fight. 369 trailing behind, trying to see if he can get the flank onto Tarzan, as the Maiden is slowing him down. Kael trying to push him away. The pillar gives him enough space that the rest of the Pandas are able to retreat. There's no big objectives to play for since the dragon was already taken for, so the fact that Anyone's Legend are able to escape with all 5 members is still a saving grace for them.
It's very messy in this game number 2. Not quite as controlled as Top Esports, taking that slightly wonky fight. Did end up costing them quite dearly. Little picture-in-picture replay down on the bottom as we see that Shanks really doesn't have the ability to stand up to 369 almost at all, which, you know, to be honest, we kind of expect. But I want to look a little bit further forward here, Mark. Hope very close to having that Flicker Blade finished, almost at a stage where he can start to chain those spell shields together and where he can actually start to do very, very scary amounts of work in these team fights. Other side of the coin, though, we take a look at Top Esports. Creme has got that Medjai Soul Stealer. He's bought into him being the win condition. 551 gold on his head, 10 stacks on a Medjai's, and still with no flash for the next minute and a half. That is the target. That is the prime locale that AL need to keep track of.
Yeah, if I was supporting Top Esports to win and I was really putting everything on the line for it, I would have hoped that Creme would wait for the Medjai's to be kicked in until after the flash shit comes back up.
Hell no, dog.
Yeah, well, but you know what? I respect the balls on this guy. He says, I don't need a flash. My team's got me. I got me. He's been having a stellar series so far in our first 2 games of this best of 5 as the Baron finally spawns here at the 25th minute mark.
And the way I'll spin this is if we thought, if this was a different mid laner, a mid laner who's had a better season than Creme has, we'd be all for it, right? Like, we'd be saying, oh, you know, if Rookie, for example, picks up this Medjai here, we're like, yeah, this makes sense. This is a guy who's goated in the mid lane. This adds up. We can check this out. And if Creme wants to... If Creme wants to step up to that level and be that kind of player, he needs to make these kind of plays and prove it. This is where you end up making that name for yourself and say, okay, I'm the kind of guy that can buy a Medjai's with no flash, and I can make it work.
It's a question we've been asking all year long, Roodood, since the beginning of Split 1 when we were first casting Top Esports versus IG in that lower bracket run that eventually brought them to the grand finals and eventually won them their first championship in many years. And for Top Esports, Creme is the guy that they've invested on as their mid laner since 2024, and he's had hit or miss results. This might be the time where Creme really needs to lock in and dial himself down as one of the best mid laners representing LPL if Top Esports are to push to the World Championship stage.
And a reminder that a series win here isn't a surefire pass for Top Esports to that World Championship. For anyone's legend, though, it is. If they can turn this series back around, a win here by the nature of the championship point secures them Worlds before the grand finals even takes place. It's a big step. It's a big ask for them, especially when they're down 4,000 gold here in game number 2, where they lost that first game as well. Game isn't going to get particularly easy for them as we move later into this matchup either. Creme, and we talked about him a lot through this series for a reason. So far, he is the big difference maker. Trying to get access to him as AL is going to be very difficult, but I think that this is the stage in the game where the compositions start to speak to one another a little bit more favourably for anyone's legend. It's always going to be Top Esports looking to engage with the Leona, with the Pantheon. But that's where Galio Poppy can really start to make an impact. A well-placed pillar from Tarzan can separate Creme from the rest of the team. And if Tarzan spends his time just taking Creme in a little 1 versus 1, that's removing a lot of the team fight power that Top Esports have got. I don't think this game's completely over just yet, and I wouldn't want to disparage AL by saying that it was. Top Esports, don't get me wrong, they've got the advantage, but they still need to close this out cleanly, and with Dragon spawning in 17 seconds, I think that's where we're going to see the crucial fight happen.
Yeah, the early sign of that hope was the successful Otacon turnaround for the Pandas just 7 minutes ago. Top Esports, they are still the ones having to ask the questions of anyone's legend, but that was the first time in both of these 2 games that they were able to respond with something better than we got outplayed. Maybe anyone's legend have what it takes to turn the momentum of this series around before Top Esports can just barrel into game 3 with a 2-game lead. Dragon is started up. This is Soul Point on the line. 5K. Tarzan steps up, throws down a pillar. Keeper's verdict punts away 1. Kanavi still in the mix here. Tries to go in. Kael pushes him away.
Stolen.
Great defense. Top Esports can't get the Dragon. And Hope is just destroying and ripping them apart as no one can touch this Sivern to the back line. Tarzan leading the charge alongside the rest of anyone's legend, but now they're trying to wait out their moment here. They've lost their engage tools. Flash from Hope. Flying 369 over the wall. Yorick is laid where he stands, and the shining hope of anyone's legend comes to life at 28 minutes.
A 7,000 damage team fight from Hope only 28 minutes into this game. Tarzan steals the dragon and Hope steals the fight. It is a 3-for-0 and a clean sweep for anyone's legend. That is job done for them for that skirmish. They are not out of the woods yet. They are still down gold. They are still against Soul Point. In 5 minutes time, they're going to have that same exact fight have to take place. But once again, take a look at this pillar from Tarzan. Keeps Creme at the back, keeps him out of reach of these fights. And as soon as that dragon is secured, Hope and Tarzan turn tail and start to rip through top esports. It's a great boomerang blade as well to chunk Creme to half HP. And with 369 getting punted out, he was never able to get access to Shanks, to Hope, to anybody that he wants to be able to deal the DPS to. And actually Hope, still with on the hunt running because he got 2 resets off the rip, is able to flash over and find a couple of kills up as well. Now we turn our attention up toward this top side. 5 minutes where the Baron is the focus, and we can see 369's down bot lane.
And suddenly Hope is almost 3,000 gold ahead JackeyLove's Corki. And even though JackeyLove is still putting out damage, he's in a fine spot. This Sivir is insanely turbo-fed. And it could be the spoiler to top esports' early game 2 victory. Kanavi caught in no man's land. The blast cone doesn't send him to safety and just delays the inevitable. And anyone's legend, now knowing that there's no smite from top esports, are going to rip the Baron.
You've heard of the dubstep ignite, but how about the dubstep subjugate there from Tarzan? Just rips Kanavi to shreds through the one pop of that ulti. Keeper's verdict to now try and pump people away. It's a miss. 5 versus 4. Top esports, they want to contest.
They're taking so much damage, though. Top esports trying to put them at lethal point. Shanks trying to come around the other side of the lip of the Baron pit, but there is no smite from top esports. That's the Baron secure for anyone's legend. Hong is going to be the first one to drop here. 369, no flash from before. Flash from Kael, gets the 2-man slam, looks for Creme. It's Shanks that follows up, and this Magi Soul Stealer is put to rest. No chance for a final chapter in victory for top esports. It's anyone's legend that flips the script in game 2.
It's a double-double for the solo laners of anyone's legend, and it's Kael who sacrifices himself to take the stacks away from Creme. Anyone's legend with the Baron and a can-do attitude of barreling down this mid lane.
Anyone's legend, we're staring down a potential 0-2 start in this best of 5. But the efforts of the Pandas come true in shining hope as he leads the charge alongside the rest of anyone's legend. Kanavi doing everything he can to defend the remnants of his base, but he gets dropped. Hong is going to be next. Will retreat to the fountain, get some HP, and anyone's legend equalize the series in game 2.
1-1. We are playing with fire in these games, Mark, and at the end of game 1 I asked for 4 more like that. We have got another. Sir. We've got a minimum of 2 from here. And top esports, despite their strong early game, they didn't have what it takes to carry it over the line. Anyone's legend bounced back. They found a great fight around that dragon, and again the combo of this pillar from Tarzan and the team fighting from Hope take AL through what was a very dire early game and into a winning late game.
Oh yeah. It was so rough from AL in the first 15-20 minutes of the game. I was ready to say, damn, top esports about to put themselves on a 3-0 sweep going into game 3, and we're gonna get to go to bed early, or at least you've got a nice start to your morning and you get to do whatever you wanted. I would have been, I don't know if I would have been the most content, since I did technically predict anyone's legend to win, but it would have been cool to see top esports come back in dominant fashion. But now I'm okay with this, Roodood. I just want to send the best competing team into BLG for grand finals, and the way that AL are able to string that comeback gives me hope that we're in for a long ride.
And I hope that we are as well, right? Like, so many of these playoff series from the LPL have been gruesome 5-game series, and they've been delivering on that, right? The sending of top esports down to the lower bracket was a brutal affair, and hopefully we get to see whichever of these 2 former LPL 2025 champions, whichever one of those go home today, that it's a hard-fought battle. I think it would have been a bit of a shame almost for top esports to just 3-0 their way through this and to see AL bow out so almost ungraciously. But they fought back, and they found themselves now 1-on-1 with into game, or looking into now game number 3 to see how that one takes shape. But it is now with much better circumstances that we carry on this series.
Hey, look, I didn't flip-flop. What do you mean? I did not flip-flop.
He said he'd take the L. He did say he would take the L.
I said I would take the L if Top Esports won the entire thing. But we're not at that point yet.
The good news is, Mark, is that once again, my ranked win ratio on Corki is even better now than JackeyLove's competitive win ratio this year on Corki. So, you know.
Listen,
it's another loss.
I will say, in the previous series, JackeyLove played Corki, and even though he didn't do anything wrong in the Corki, it didn't seem like he was able to do that much. And it was the same thing against BLG in game 1 of their upper finals. So, and I'm just saying, Corki might not be the winning combo. You know, just small results-based analysis coming from your caster desk here. Thank you.
And we've done very well, and it's landed beautifully. Don't be mistaken. This is going to be another one of those beautiful gold graphs that we get to see. Oh. 4 nations over the LPL. Ah, yes.
Oh,
yes.
There's.
We had to pull up the Roodood competitive win ratio. I have competed competitively, by the way. I lost every game.
You know, our producer couldn't stand by to have Rood just have only glazing. We had to get some flame in there.
I mean, that's valid.
Yeah.
Sometimes
flame is necessary to get us to focus up. You know?
Exactly. And focusing back in then on this game, we've got obviously AL, who for the most part of this game looked like they were lost at the wheel. Creme took this Magi's and was largely dominant. However, it just didn't pan out for them in the long run. In the end, the team fight around the Dragon, around the Atacon as well, where that Atacon fight was their big throw, and then the fight around the Dragon wasn't necessarily a throw, but it was a struggle bus that they had to get through, and it wasn't without these pretty shaky moments from AL. But this team fight here, a really good indicator of good things from anyone's legend. JackeyLove gets sent away, and then it's almost a 5 versus 2 or a 4 versus 2, as these entrances from top are just a little bit late, and Hope is just free firing the whole time. He gets a lot of gold from the shutdowns as well, and that's able to propel him into a position where this fight around the Dragon was the first real turning point.
Yeah. I have to say, Rood, I felt bad for Creme, because this game wasn't even remotely close to his fault. I'm looking for a moment in one of these replays to see if he made any crucial mistakes despite having a massive advantage and kind of putting himself on the pedestal to be like, I'm going to be the guy that ensures that we win this game. This is the last fight. I just want to pay attention to where Creme is.
Yeah, I mean, technically that's a missed laser there, right? Like, if we're going to really get into the weeds of things, he spaces out the taunt, does quite well, good gravity well, but it's a great stasis as well. And then I think he gets flash stunned into the wall. Yep. Maybe he could flash that earlier, but even then the fight's already over. So the fact that he falls here is really inconsequential. Maybe he could get back to base and recall and try and find a laser through the wave, but it's not something that's necessarily easy for Creme in that position. And at a certain point, the Sivir composition just did the Sivir thing where it can run at you.
Yeah, in that particular moment, I would not be surprised if Creme is just looking to the right, waiting for the stasis to come off cooldown so that he can fire more cooldowns, and then the one split moment where he's not checking his left flank, and Kael makes the split flash call to just hit him into the wall. And unfortunately, if that's the case, I can't fault him for that. Meanwhile, I can give credit to Hope stepping up to the big plate when his team needed him to. Remained deathless the entire first 20 minutes, where it seemed everything was completely distraught and it was going to be a guaranteed top esports 2-0 start, and he pulls through with a massive Sivir carry performance. But now, Rood, we have a series on our hands. We are 1-1 between anyone's legend and top esports. I know, guys, the series is on our hands, and hopefully we get to see a full 5-game series arise from it. We'll see you on the other side as we get ready for game 3.